Hello, hello. Welcome to day 12. Yes, I'm shifting up the energy. And of course, I'm standing today for many, many reasons. But today, something super special. So I want to ask, first and foremost, to enter this space with an open mind, because we're going to talk about something that has a very already predetermined, right? Like the way we've been brought up, the way we've been taught this. It has a very already probably embedded definition for you. So I want to ask you, before I even say hello and welcome you into this space, I want to ask you to stop whatever it is you're thinking about, whatever you may have already thought just by reading the title for today, and come with an open mind and be ready to receive. Anyway, welcome to day 12. Thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate you embarking on this journey with me. This is where we are exploring sobriety, cultivating emotional well-being, and embracing holistic health so that we can all go in and have a year filled with strength, growth, and vibrant living. My name is Tricia Parido, if you haven't figured that out already, and I am here to give you some golden juice nuggets, whatever you want to call it today. I'm super excited to have you here. So right now, right, I want you to be open to receiving a boundary system, right, that is different than you've ever considered before, okay? So I totally understand. I get it. I know that it is so hard not to allow things to get to you, to get under your skin. And I totally understand that it's really difficult to not get emotionally wounded. We've all been emotionally wounded at times. And it's probably going to continue to happen. However, we can handle it better. Anyway, we can do this by creating a boundary system that actually allows us to filter what we're seeing, hearing, and experiencing. And what this does is make it possible to leave things that don't serve you, to simply not let them in, but also not send out less than how you want to be seen. Meaning that energy that you send out. And we've already talked about that knee-jerk reactivity, the impulsivity, and you know how those conversations go. So I know that this is a different concept, but I truly promise that it is extremely efficient. So I want you to think of it this way, okay? When, mainstream USA, whatever, right? Like we all have originally had this thought or belief, or we've been taught that boundaries are a hard line, that, I have strong boundaries, right? Like I don't let people walk on me. I'm not a doormat. I've created strong boundaries. So I want to change that for you. And we're going to talk about what, that definition of boundaries tomorrow, and how we do that work in my practice, and how it has served countless of individuals change the way they experience living, myself included. So what I want you to realize, that if we look at, by definition, boundaries, are they contain things, right? They may protect things, but they're also movable, right? They are bendable, they are flexible, they are reshapeable. And so I always like to utilize the analogy of goats, right? Like, so we keep goats in a confined area because otherwise they'd run amok and they'd eat everything. But we keep them in a confined space. But if that confined space, that boundary system, was not movable, bendable, flexible, reshapeable, those goats would starve. We need to be able to take that boundary system, that enclosed area, and move it from here to over here. And over here, we may need it to be rectangular, or even the shape of a triangle. But we need to be able to move the goats to where the food is. So think of it that way, right? Like we need things to be bendable, flexible, pliable. So we're going to have a boundary system that consists of 4 parts. And that is your internal boundary, right? Your internal filter, your external boundary, your temporal boundary, which is that emotional filtration system, and your physical. Now, this isn't just physical touch. This is your environments, etc., right? The people, places, things. So you have this 4-part system that you get to have around you, that you get to create in any fashion that you need, dependent upon the situation, the conversation, the environment, whatever it might look like, right? You get it. So we get this external boundary, right? So that we get to see what's coming our way. We get to, we're hearing the words, we're seeing the actions, we're, maybe even, looking at the road when we're driving, right? Like, we get to filter, like, what part of this is for me? What part of this belongs to somebody else, the other people, whatever? How much of this is, needs to stay outside of me? So we get to create how open or closed that is. So we get to determine what we let in, and the same with what we let out. Okay, so when we bring something in, we get to permeate on that, and we get to determine what do we want to share with, share in return or send back out. And sometimes we're utilizing our internal filtration system before the external, but it's an exchange, and it's a way to only be working on what is for you and leaving what is for others with them. Now, that emotional filter, right, really serves both that internal and that external, and it allows you to to filter out somebody else's bad mood. It's not about you. If your husband or your spouse comes home from work and they're irritated, agitated, annoyed, frustrated, bothered, right? Like, you haven't been with them all day. You aren't a contributing factor to that. Give them that space. Don't take it personal. Don't get all, well, what's wrong with you? That doesn't work. So we want to be able to filter, right, that emotion. Like, their emotions are theirs. It belongs out there. So we want to, utilize out the external, but also that internal space of emotionally, how attached do I want to get to this? How involved do I want to get? What should I share? And do I want to approach this empathetically or, right? So we can dive into this one-on-one if you want to work on this system a whole lot deeper. It is an art form. And the same with, again, the physical boundary, like, what environment am I in? How much of it is about whoever else is. If you're at somebody else's home, like, you have to know, like, where am I going to feel safe? Where am I going to feel secure? Where am I going to be confident? Where am I going to be comfortable? All of the things, right? Like, how is this feeling? And of course, that temporal boundary's got to be working there. And then we start bringing in that internal and the external. So it's a system, and it works together. So, you can do this. You can close your eyes. You can visualize what it would look like to feel protected physically, emotionally, as well as internally and externally, right? So you can visualize it. It can look, it can be anything. So it can be anything from a bubble. Mine is more of a bubble, and it's anything from crystal clear to, like a deep green, opaque color, right? Like, I get to hide behind my centeredness and groundedness and hold on to what is for me. And if others are, this happens frequently for me, people will ask me my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions, my beliefs. And then as I start to share, they kind of, close off. And so I get to protect. If I'm not feeling seen, heard, valued, I'm going to hold on, right, to what is important and special to me, because if it's not going to mean anything to them, why would I, right, engage in that? So it can be anything from a bubble to a brick wall, but you must allow for it to be flexible, pliable, shape-shifting, right? Because when we're too rigid, we tend to break. So we want to think of that filtration system and ask ourselves, what will be the most efficient at weeding out the toxic, right? And we could take that into so many different levels, but I hope this broadens your perspective on how a truly efficient filtrating boundary system can serve you and how you are experiencing your life, the people, places, and things that are also happening in and around you. And also, and perhaps it'll help you see how you can move into a space of acceptance that this is your life too. It gets to look, feel, be however you want it to. You get to choose and then offer that to anybody else that's around you. That same mantra. Anyway, I could talk on this topic for a long, long, long time, and your time is important. And I promised that I would keep these short, brief, and to the point. So with that said, I'm going to let you go for the day. I will see you tomorrow. We'll talk more again about those hard, fast stops that we are so accustomed to thinking are imperative. Have a great day.